Hi, this is Nolan from Benchmark, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to set up a Hemisphere S631 as a network rover using the internal GSM module. So I've got a SIM card inside of my receiver. So what I'm going to do to begin here is I'm going to select instrument here on the left, and this is going to allow me to create a new instrument profile. So within this menu here, I'm going to hit Add Profile. And you can see here that I've got a make and a model. So what I'm going to want to do is make sure that my make is set to Hemisphere, my model as S631. And then I'm going to give this profile a name here, and I'm going to call it S631 GSM. And you're going to want to make sure that you have no spaces here. As you can see, when I hit check, it says profile name must have no spaces. So let me just go in here and fix that error quickly here. And once I have that set, I'm going to hit create. And this is going to allow me to set up my profile. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is pair to my device using the Bluetooth. So I'm going to hit setup communication, and then I'm going to hit search, and you're going to see here it's going to find my Bluetooth device, which I am then going to select, and it's going to be the same name as the serial number that is found on the bottom of your receiver. So once I have that selected here, I'm going to hit connect in the bottom right corner, and that's going to initialize my Bluetooth connection, and you should see the Bluetooth light turn on your receiver now. I'll then be taken back to my main menu here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select setup corrections here, and then I'm going to make sure I have RTK via internet selected, and then I'm going to go setup internet. And from my type here, I'm going to want to make sure that from my drop down here, I don't have data collector selected, but I actually have the GNSS mobile option selected. And once I select that, I'm going to need to enter my internet APN information. In this case, I'm using Rogers. So if you're using Rogers, you can pause the video right here and make sure you have the right APN information. But if you're using any other SIM provider, you're going to have to make sure that you have the correct information set. And with my APN information entered here, I'm going to select done. It's going to take me back to my RTK via internet menu, at which point I'm going to need to select that setup data source option because I'm going to need to set up my NTRIP corrections. And you can see here that I have a couple of NTRIP sources already created, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit add new source here, and that's going to allow me to add some new NTRIP information. So in this case, I'm using Stormcaster, so I'm going to enter my URL here, which is ntrip.stormcaster.net. And then I'm going to enter my port and username here. And if you want more information on Stormcaster, I put a link in the video description to our website where you can get some more information and request some pricing on Stormcaster. But once I have all of that information entered, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select done, and then I'm going to make sure my NTRIP source has that check mark next to it and hit select. And you can now see that I'm back on this RTK via internet screen where I'm going to select connect to initialize that connection. And what's going to happen is it's going to connect up to my caster, make sure that I'm hooked up to the network correctly. And if all goes well, you should be able to pull a mount point and select that mount point. And you can see here that I've got my NTRIP source table for Stormcaster. You can see that I have a couple different base options, and I'm here at our Calgary office. So I'm going to select this Calg2 mount point and then hit select. And then for my correction format and NMEA required, I'm going to leave them as the default options, which is what I typically recommend you doing unless you're trying to do something specific with your network. But I'm going to hit confirm here, and it's going to connect up to my receiver. And if all has gone correctly, what you should see on your receiver is the second light from the left, the one that looks like a little radio, or as I like to say, it looks like a little robot. It should be flashing about once a second, indicating that it's receiving corrections from your network. I'm going to now proceed to set up my antenna height. So what I need to do is I need to measure from the ground to either the bottom of the antenna mount where my receiver meets the pole, or I need to measure at the slant height to the slant mark, which is the little orange arrow on the side of my receiver. In this case, I've measured up 1 meter to the bottom of antenna mount, so I'm going to enter 1 meter here to the bottom of my antenna mount. With that entered, I'm going to hit OK and return to my main screen. And the last thing I'm going to need to do here is set my active tolerance. In this case, I'm going to be using my RTK fixed topo option. So if I select done now and return to my main menu and go to my survey option here, you can see in the bottom right corner, I have an RTK float solution. And if I wait long enough, I will get a fixed solution. But as I mentioned, I'm sitting indoors, so I'm going to have a very hard time getting a fixed solution. But for now, that is everything in today's video. That is how you set up a network rover using an internal SIM card using both FieldGenius Android and the Hemisphere S631. And if you have a moment, I would please ask you to hit that subscribe button down below. It really does help us out and helps me keep making these videos. And if you have any questions about anything you've seen in today's video or any questions about anything you've seen on this YouTube channel, please give us a call at 1-888-286-3204 or visit us on the web at bench-mark.ca.